thought I'd do a pinwheel fold card, and I have some pictures to show you. I got these at Split Coast Stampers, and they use a hand method to do all their card cutting. They don't do any use a cutter, and you could follow their instructions on their tutorials at Split Coast Stampers to make these. I just collected a few of their designs so you can see what the project could look like when you're done. And then I went ahead and made my own design and make the cut so that I could do this with my cutter rather than doing it with the scoreboard that they used and their punches and things. So this is what it ended up being like, and the photo is here. I like to bring in a photo to remind me what it's supposed to be like when it's done. To fold this up when you're done cutting everything, and this was double-sided paper, and it came with these two designs, one on the front and one on the back. And then when it's folded, you fold up one flap, and then you fold and tuck the next flap, fold and tuck the next, fold and tuck the next, and then put the any extra design that you have on a flap so that it doesn't glue two of the flaps together. So you wouldn't want it on the center because it might hinder the ability to put these flaps in and tuck them under. And one of the designs had a belly band on it, so I made this belly band to go with it. And I believe I posted this design at MTC Toots in the shared MTC files folder so that you can kind of play with it. I'd love to see what designs you come up with. So I think I will open just I have notes here to help me remember the sizes and everything. I take notes when I look at their site, and they have a video tutorial and they have to show you the assembly. Then they also have pictures and step-by-step instructions and sizes and everything. So I'll click on this. I'm going to click on this photo one and delete this layer because, or this page, because the pictures take up a lot of bandwidth when I'm trying to talk with the webinar going. It slows everything down. Okay. So the first thing we're going to do here is we're going to add a square, and I like to click on this basic shapes icon and just type in SQ, and it takes me to the square. So I double click that square, and I need to resize this with the lock in its gold closed position. I'm going to make this 8 inches, type 8 and enter. So now I have the 8-inch square that they started with. I'm going to go to the virtual mat and put this on the green mat so you can see what I'm doing, and put it right in the center because you see that little X in the center helps you line it up, and then I can use that for placement of the other shapes. So we start with an 8-inch square, but I'm also going to need another square. I'm going to do Control-Shift, hold the Control and Shift key, and then click on this square and bring it aside because I need a square that's also 4.25, 4¼ inches, and press enter. So I have that one. That's going to be my size, my finished size of the card once it's all folded. And this means it'll fit in an A2 size envelope so that you don't have to pay extra shipping for a square card. But 4¼ will fit in an A2 size envelope, which is 4¼ by 5½ So I think that's the rationale beside for making this card. I'm going to click this again till I get my round rotation arrows, and I'm going to hold a Control key and click this 3 times to get this to be a diamond shape. Now I'm going to hold a shift and click so I can select both of these and type S to stack them so that they're perfectly stacked here. I'm going to grab them here and put them again on the center. The next thing I'm going to do is bring in a triangle. So I'm going to go up here to Basic Shapes again and type TR. And I need this sort of isosceles triangle. And I'm going to resize this one so that it's 1 inch tall. Well, it's already 1 inch tall, but I need it to be 2 inches wide. So I'm going to type in 2 for the width and leave the height at 1 and press enter. Is that what it says? 2 inches wide and 1 inch high. And I'm going to flip it. So it's like this. Now I'd like it to be perfectly centered with this square. So if I type V, it'll perfectly vertically align it. And I'll type T so that they're aligned at the top. Now sometimes aligning it at the top doesn't make it exactly perfect for removing this triangle, which is what I really want to do. So I think I'm going to make this just a hair taller. So it's overlapping this top line. And now I want to do, I want to copy that by using, you can go to Edit, Copy, because I need 3 more of those. And I'm going to select the diamond and the square and rotate, oh, and the triangle. I'll select all 3. And now I'm going to rotate 90 degrees by clicking the 4th icon from the left on the bottom toolbar. And then I'm going to use Paste in Place to add that triangle again. Now I'm going to select them all and rotate again, and then use Paste in Place. And one more time, rotate 90 degrees, and edit, Paste in Place. So now we have our basic shape. So what I want to do is cut out all of these pieces. So before I can do that, I need to join them all. Now that I have those all joined, I'm going to hold Shift and select the square. Then I'm going to go to Boolean Join. You can only use Boolean Join with 2 shapes. So basically I join together all the small triangles. That's one shape. And the other shape is the big square. And this is the look that I want. So I will apply it. So that Boolean Join is down here at the bottom, and it's grayed out if you don't have 2 shapes selected. So now the next thing I'm going to do is add a new layer by clicking on the green plus icon in the lower right corner. It adds a new layer and makes it the active layer. You can tell which one is active by the dark gray color here. So I'm going to click on this figure 8 icon in the upper left corner to open my node editing toolbar. And what I want to do is create a fold line now, one on each side of this design. I'm going to click on this pen tool, Bezier Draw, left click. I think what I need to set snapping at 1 inch, that'll make it so my shaky hands won't make a mess of this. I just left click there and I right click at the tip of the triangle. And I'll do the same over here. I could use that 90-degree turn again. Want to select that center square. I'm going to send this top layer first, hide it, and then move this bottom square to the top. Now somehow this needs to be broken because it added a line to the layer I didn't want it to be added to. I'm gonna break that, hide that, and I want to select the score lines I just drew, hold shift and select the center square, send them all to their own layer, and make those the score lines by clicking on the color box, clicking on line style, click on create new line style. I like my score lines to be a little bit more separated, and then click OK. Now I've got my score lines there. The only problem is that my first score line drew and connected itself to this first layer here. I don't know what happened here, but I'm going to do a Boolean join again with this. Don't know why it did that. You take the snapping off, no snapping. I'm going to click this, and click on Boolean join again. This is so weird. Let me try it again. Apply. Now this line for some reason should not be here, so I'm going to left click it and hit delete. I will go back to the top layer and draw that one again, and there's the Bezier draw, left click, and I won't take it all the way to the center there, so it will. Hopefully it did it again. Okay, I want to hide that. Select this layer, Boolean join, left click, and right click. I'll make sure they're all dashed lines. You don't have to do score lines as dashed lines. Most of the time it doesn't matter for me, and I just assume do everything all at once. So now I have all the score lines here. I'll double click this and just name it score lines. If I should want to use my engraving tool to do the scoring, I can change those back to solid lines. And then my bottom layer is the cut layer. Cut. So that's the card shape itself. There are some embellishments that we can add. If I click on, I think I'll add some color here. Maybe go to my contrast matte. You see it's black right now, but maybe I want to make it pink. I'll make this pink too. So you see my card there. If I join all of these score lines, it'll be visually easier to see. So that's the basic folds of the card. Everything else is just kind of decorations. In the center of this, I'd like to have a mat for journaling or for a sentiment. For that, I'll click on the basic shapes again and type in SQ. And my the sizing on this would be 4 inches, so I'll type 4 and enter. Oops, I forgot to do the gold lock icon. So I've got to do the height, 4, enter. I'll put that lock on so the next time I'll do it right. And I'll send it to its own layer, and maybe we'll make that one white. And this would be where I might put my little sentiment. Now for the mat for the card, I'm going to do Control-Shift-Click, and I'm going to resize this to 4.125. And send it to its own layer because it will be a different color. Maybe I'll make it darker and move it down layer so you can see it. I could type S to stack it. And now the original picture had kind of a frame. Maybe you want to frame a picture or you want to put a frame for your sentiment. You could do that. If you the frame, let's see what it was. It was a 3.8 inch square, so I can click on this, Control Shift and click, send that to its own layer, and I'll resize this to 3.8 and enter. And we should make it a darker color too. I'll send it, it's on its own layer already, and I'll make it maybe a dark color. Now to get the inside of the frame, I'm going to go to Shadow, which is the 4th icon from the right, and make that shadow a, let's see, minus 0.2 inches, and accept that. Now I can select both of these with the Shift key down and join. I can make them that darker color. So now I kind of have a nice frame for my sentiment. You can use a stamp in here, or you can use a sentiment that you cut, or write something with a journaling font with a pen. Let's get rid of all the extra layers. Now I have these all the way I want them. I'm going to type S to stack them perfectly in the center, and I'm going to hold the Control key to rotate these 3 times to put them right in the middle of my card. So now I have that decoration on the inside. Do we have any questions so far?
There are no questions so far.
Okay. So I'll show you how I made that little circle, this thing here. So to do that, I click again on Basic Shapes and I type CI to get my circle. I'll send that to its own layer by clicking on the smaller, the 2 green plus icons at the lower right corner of the screen. And let's see. This tag I made 2 inches, and so to do that I can just type 2 with the gold lock icon on, and maybe I'll make that a green color. Let's see what it looked like again. Alright, there's a 2-inch circle, and then there's a 3-inch circle, and then also a scalloped circle. So I'll click this, hold Control Shift and click again and resize that to 3 inches. Press Enter, and send it to its own layer and make it darker. I'm going to type S to stack them, move the darker one below. Maybe I'll make this one really light. And now I can put scallops around this circle by getting myself another Control-Shift-Click, and I'll put that over here. And I need another one, Control-Shift-Click, and I'll make this one 1/2 inch, 0.5, and enter. Now I'm going to wrap this circle around this circle. Hold the Control, click and drag till the head changes to a triangle, circle, and square till the and then release. Now this wrap objects path, I'm going to click on the repeat button. I don't need 80 of them. It remembers what you last used. And you click on this up arrow and you get a number of them. And I need them, I don't need spacing, so I'm going to type 0. And maybe I need them to, the vertical alignment to be about 50%, so they're overlapping the main circle. And then I'll add some more until we fill in. Now you notice that they're not evenly filling in, and that's where the spacing thing here comes. We can spread out the spacing a little bit more so that they're all touching equally. And once we're happy with that, we can accept, and then I'll just weld them together using the weld icon or Control W at the bottom of the screen. Now I have a little scallop thing, and I think I will make it the medium green. And to move it down below the other layer, I just click on the arrow. I can select all three and type S to stack. Maybe I want this one to be light, and this one to be medium. Oh, so we have a nice little ornament that you could use another sentiment or brief title on this circle, or you could use it for a rubber stamp that you have that you'd like to add a design to. And then the other part of the design we have is the belly band, they call it, a band that will wrap around the closed card, kind of to keep it from falling open. To make that, I'll add a new layer, click on the basic shapes and type SQ, double click the square. And on this one, this needs to be 11 inches wide and 1 inch tall. So I'm going to change that lock to green and type in 11 for the width, enter. And I could use it just like it is and just wrap it around and glue it. Or I can add the scallops, and again, the scallop idea can work the same as what we did for this, except we have a square. And when we have sharp corners, I prefer not to wrap usually around the corners. So I'm going to double click this, get me a circle, CI, and resize that to 1/2 inch, 0.5, enter. Oops, I forgot to change the lock, 0.5, enter. And again, I'm just going to hold the Control and drag so you can see what happens if we wrap. Change the offset to start over here, and then we can increase the count. And it's really not too bad. I might have to adjust the little corners a little bit, but I think that'll work. So I'm going to click Accept. And I don't want to weld the paths yet because I do need to make some adjustments of these two end pieces here, they look like they could go up a little bit. Or I can even take those off. I think I'd rather just remove them. Now I can weld this together. Now if I don't want it quite that wide, I can just change it. I could actually change the height over here to 1 inch. 1 enter. So I have a 1 inch wide thing, and then you can change it to be whatever color you want. And you can add score lines if you want, but I find I like to wait until I have the card made, because when you have bulky layers like this, sometimes the score lines or the fold lines where you'd be folding that belly band might adjust a little bit for the thickness of the card. So I usually just wrap the belly band after I get the card all assembled with everything that's going to be in it. Maybe it's going to be pictures, or maybe I'll even put pop dots in there to do a print and cut. So I'm going to get rid of any extra layers over here, and I can cut these all by layers and by color. They're all different colors or on their own different layers.